Maybe the most common question about high ticket dropshipping is it saturated? Well, we're going to break it down in this video. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Since I made my last video, I became a dad. For those who are subscribed, you may have seen my post. We had a baby girl on February 21st named Brooklyn Dorothea for sure, and she is our entire world right now. Couldn't be happier about it, and I appreciate all the kind words about it. But I am running on very little sleep right now. The whole waking up every 3 hours in the middle of the night is definitely humbling, to say the least. But we're getting there, we're settling in, and it is already one of the most fulfilling things that I have ever had happen in my life. So we're getting back into it. We're getting back on the YouTube train. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe for the most honest and objective high ticket dropshipping content that you will find on YouTube. But for today's video, I'm going to make a short one about, is high ticket dropshipping saturated? I've addressed this before. The business model high ticket dropshipping is simply, that's all it is. It's just a business model. All the word dropshipping is, and I think it gets a bad rap because the word dropshipping almost always automatically gets attached to low ticket dropshipping, cheap, gimmicky drop shipping that you see on Instagram or TikTok, all the stuff that was done back in 2020 and 2021 with AliExpress. But all drop shipping really is just a method of order fulfillment. All it means is we're shipping a product from the supplier to the customer and we get credit for the sale. That's all that dropshipping is. And it's existed basically since the internet began. And companies like Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, they all do it. They all do high-tech dropshipping. And actually, I'd say the biggest example of this is Wayfair. Their entire business model was built off of just doing dropshipping. So the business model isn't going anywhere. The asking if high-ticket dropshipping saturated, it's like asking, is e-commerce saturated? Well, obviously, e-commerce, no matter what you do, whether you're building AI tools, whether you're doing blogging or selling on Amazon, whatever you're selling, whatever you're doing, you're going to have competition. So there's no such thing as just it's saturated or it's unsaturated. It's not just black and white. There's really competitive stuff, and then there's much less competitive stuff, and then there's everything in between. It's a very broad, continuous spectrum. And so when people are evaluating business models to try out, and when they're evaluating high-ticket dropshipping, they're wondering, is there still juice left in this thing? Well, the answer is there's always going to be juice left in it. I think the better question is, what niches are less saturated than others? And that's where a really big conversation comes into play. For one thing, I think need-based products are way less competitive than desire-based products. So need-based products like civil engineering equipment, pumps, air compressors, stuff that businesses need, stuff that individual private citizens need to perform a job, versus luxury bathtubs, fitness equipment, saunas, all the stuff that I name as examples in other videos for that. Need-based stuff, in my own experience and in my students' experiences, is just way less competitive. And that's actually entirely what we focus on in my program. So then the question is, how do you find within there, how do you find the less or the least competitive products or the least competitive niches? And from there, you use tools like SEMrush, and that's exactly what we use in my course. I think it is a really, really useful tool. I will say you can look at all the data under the sun, but you're not going to know if something actually works until you start doing it. What we look at in SEMrush are really two things: keyword difficulty and search volume. Keyword difficulty we look at in twofold. Keyword difficulty, as the name suggests, is how difficult would it be to rank for this keyword? And what SEMrush gives you is basically based entirely on organic search volume. So if I were to try and rank for electric bicycles, just that general broad keyword, what kind of keyword difficulty would I find? Well, without looking at it, I could tell you I'd probably find like a 75% out of 100% keyword difficulty. What we focus on is niches with keyword difficulty of 15% or less. That's where we start. But if I were to take a more specific keyword within the e-bike industry, let's say a branded search term, or e-bike for off-roading, I use that very specific long tail keyword, e-bike for off-roading. While it's going to have less search volume, it's going to have way less keyword difficulty. I would wager anywhere in the 20 to 40%. That's a total guess. I would have to actually double check. So even within otherwise really competitive niches, from an SEO perspective, you can still find long tail keywords, really specific keywords that you can rank for really quickly and get revenue from. I think when it comes to a paid ads perspective, that's when we want to really look at the niche as a whole and see how competitive is it, relative to other niches. And that's where it makes more sense to choose something that's way less common, like the civil engineering stuff or the air compressors or stuff that I've already mentioned, or industrial water filters, industrial air filters, all this kind of stuff that people don't typically think of when they think drop shipping, but there's an online market for it. People search for it online, and people build businesses around it. But way fewer people build businesses around those things versus e-bikes or saunas or golf simulators. So this is all to just kind of demonstrate there's a huge spectrum in here. And where the real money is to be found is need-based stuff. It's already easier to sell need-based stuff than it is desire-based stuff, just on principle. People aren't going to, they're going to be a lot more committed to buy these things. They're already in the market to buy them because they need them. They need them to do a job versus wanting a golf simulator. Nobody needs a golf simulator. I mean, I might tell my wife that I do, but she would respectfully disagree. You get what I'm saying. But when it comes down to, is high-ticket dropshipping saturated? The answer is absolutely not. There are thousands of niches, thousands of products out there that are way less competitive than the really common ones that you see on YouTube, like massage chairs, golf simulators, et cetera, et cetera. The challenge is then finding them. And none of them are going to be completely uncompetitive. None of them are going to have no competitors at all. If the niche exists, there are companies that sell the products. If there are companies that sell the products, that means there's a market for them. If there's a market for them, you're not going to be the first person ever to discover this. Unless you are literally inventing a new product, you're not going to be the first seller in a space. That said, it's all relative. With industrial air filters, there's going to be way less online retailers than with golf simulators. It's all on a spectrum. So that's kind of my stream of consciousness on the question of, is high-ticket dropshipping saturated? It's not going anywhere. The model is never going to go away. And it's always going to be a part of my e-commerce business portfolio until I retire from this, basically. And it's, I think, one of the most lucrative and reliable ways, A, to get started in e-commerce, and B, to add to your e-commerce portfolio if you're already doing e-commerce, just because there's such a clear direction of, it's really just answering two questions. Do people search for these products on Google? If so, how do I get those products in front of them? And then from there are a lot of sub-questions of how many people already sell these products in Google? How hard is it going to be to get these in front of them? That's all it really is. It's not rocket science, but there are things that are easier said than done. And where you start is just looking at the data and starting with the principle. Is it need-based? Does it have a low keyword difficulty? And does it have a relatively high search volume? And then from there, we can do a lot more research and see what actually works when we go live with our businesses. So if you're still watching, I appreciate it, guys. If you're new, subscribe for the most honest and objective high-ticket dropshipping content that you will find on YouTube. This is new. And I can only accept a very small number of clients at a time, about 2 to 3 per month. I do have a new service where I will literally build your high-ticket dropshipping business for you. It's not cheap, I will say that, but the link is in the description below if you want to learn more. Also linked in the description below if you want to do this yourself and you want to have a reliable framework to do it, and you want to learn from someone that actively does it and has done it for the better part of a decade, and also alongside of an SEO expert and my partner, Lisa Whaley, there is my online course that includes a mentorship option as well. So subscribe, comment what you guys want me to talk about. Hope to see you in my program, and we'll see you guys in the next video.